Anyone who knows our work may come to find that as someone interested in spiritual philosophy, one of our main jobs is calling out the empire, which means the darkness of the world. Real Christianity, like any real religion, same with real Judaism, real Buddhism, or real Islam, etc., throughout the world, are practicing the real core of their faiths only when their teachings embody love and light for not only their members, especially the financially poor ones, but also for others not within their specific faith. But it would be laughable to say any of those faiths have fully lived up to those core values for their thousands of years of existence, when far too often they have engaged in imperialism. It's important for patriotic, freedom-loving Americans who are capable of critical thinking to realize that the Christian nationalist right are actually not real Christians, because they are instead hate and violence advocates for anyone who is not a financially wealthy white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, otherwise called a WASP. What they actually are is the Christian wrong, or CHINOs, which stands for Christians in name only, and are really just an unpopular political bloc-nested cult. They know they are a minority percentage of the United States population and have long given up on trying to outreach to all walks of society, members of other philosophies or faiths, real love and light Christians or agnostics or atheists or heavy liberals or even moderate conservatives, or frankly even centrists with a mixture of both, because all of those folks within the pro-democratic coalition don't buy their lies and do not support them. They are now only about trying to enact minority authoritarian theocracy rule because they think they are superior to you because Christian nationalism is marketing speak for Christian supremacy, which is foundationally anti-American due to the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which says all Americans have the right to any religion or no religion, with no specific one being sanctioned by the state. We've said this before, and we're going to keep saying it. Religion for the personal with the volume light is fine. But the more that volume is turned up to 11, the more those who do that have an underlying foundation which is based on extreme patriarchal hierarchy, because big corporate religion replaces nature's spiritual teachings and hierarchies with a mythological hierarchy of male figures. And then, the more that's incorrectly taken literally and historically, the more it moves them into heavy conservatism, which is based on patriarchal machismo, compassionless alpha cowboy hierarchical loyalty. So then their politics are all backwards, doing nothing for the people, especially the poor, or the middle class, or even the lower upper class, but only for the top 1% of power and wealth, which starts with their version of God or Allah, then to power-hungry dictatorial figures. This is why heavy conservatives are always heavily religious, because they have been indoctrinated into top-down power. Project 2025 and its analogues, such as Agenda 47, are their attempt at putting forth their batshit list of wants and is essentially a proposal for a fascist theocratic nightmare takeover of the government spearheaded by places such as the Heritage Foundation, which claim to be a conservative think tank but is actually a nest of dark imperial agents, which give marching orders to regressive politicians who gain power. Within a presidential administration, the United States government has some 4,000 appointees. 1,000 have to be confirmed, but 3,000 can be brought in immediately, and their initial goal is to replace folks that, like with any job interview, are qualified to do the job and care about truth, having a conscience, the rule of law, democracy, the Constitution, and a somewhat functioning but of course still dysfunctional government on behalf of the middle class, and instead replacing all of them with a loyalty cult that want alternate facts, meaning lies, to replace the rule of law with corruption, hate liberal democracy and parts of the Constitution such as the separation of church and state, and their only qualification for filling these government positions would be those they promote would have to be ideologically on board with MAGA, meaning manipulating America's gullible assholes, and whose main goal is loyalty to a Führer dictator figure at the top of the red cult. Be that at monster Trumpelstiltskin with zero moral compass, 31 of 38 of which his authors of Project 2025 are heavily tied to, or some even more vile freedom-hating authoritarian who they would vomit up to replace him in the near future when he croaks. To keep this brief and not go into every insane part of its dumpster fire agenda, everything in it, under the ruse of getting rid of their own invention called the deep state, is 180 degrees backwards, being against pluralistic society, democracy, progress, and reducing or counter-leveling oligarchic Zionist patriarchal domination, and less for counter-revolution to all those things because they know their days within free and fair elections are numbered, because they are the past and not the future. And their only way they've been able to hang on to elections in recent decades is through their propaganda media machine, the Electoral College, and redistricting. So it has a very time-sensitive flavor to it. And its overarching goals are to remove any guardrails to democracy as intended by the founders, to fully corrupt free and fair elections, and to advocate for a unitary executive theory, which is code for insulating a mad emperor figure from any accountability for their crimes and enable their ability for maximum power grabbing and political retribution. Not to mention reducing women's rights and removing any social services and being an end times death cult doing nothing about climate chaos because they hate science. And also banning porn because theocrats grow up with extreme sexual repression. One of the things that we are sick and tired of are fake religionists who are really just imperial agents. If you're a real Christian, meaning a love and light one who honors the beauty of the separation of church and state and accepts others different from you and are not trying to assimilate them, great, and we're friends with some of them, and every once in a while we get a very nice email from one. But this is bone-chillingly scary, insane, depressing Handmaid's Tale style stuff from Christians in name only. But the good news is everything in it is extremely unpopular. So the more knowledge of this dark sorcery playbook spreads, thus tell everyone you know about this, the more it will also fuel the power of a pro-democratic blue tsunami to downgrade the threat to democracy, as waves are blue and not red. So get more politically active in whatever way you can in your day-to-day life, even if it's just a little bit every day. Network, keep giving to pro-democratic candidates, check your voter registration, recheck it, and prepare to always vote for democracy down ballot now and into the future. Since our documentaries can take years to make, these insights were created with the goal of us being on camera providing you more consistent content. They are independently made and often feel for us like throwing a Kleenex into the Grand Canyon alone while surrounded by tumbleweeds. So if you find values in these shorter insights, please do the usual things that favor the Ghost in the Machine algorithms. We never run any ads, so also consider navigating over to our overarching website, nilesheckman.org, where you can acquire our longer form content such as our films or narrated essays bundled in volumes, or even become an annual member for a very modest fee. Cheers for watching and or listening.